really. That's my own demon, right? Everybody's got this, this hypnosis that we've all been conditioned to by the one-eyed cyclops in the rec room, the TV set. And in my case, pretty near 50 years, it has been conditioning me that I have got to look a certain way. I have got to smoke that cigarette and then not smoke those cigarettes.
Right.
I have to drink this, and now don't drink too much of it, though. And I have to have that coffee, and I have to have that little animal on my shirt, or I have to have that check mark on my golf balls, or I have to have those kind of golf clubs. I have to drive that car. I mean, there's all this conditioning going on. And one of the most revealing books, if you want to get dehypnotized, is to start off with a book by Trout and Rice. I think it's Al Rice and Jack Trout, if I'm not mistaken. They wrote this really cool book called Positioning, The Advertising Battle for Your Mind. And it gets into how 7-word positioning statements like so-and-so brings good things to life, or fly the friendly skies, or quality is job one, or, you know, all those slogans of advertising. Those are called positioning statements. And what they do is they burn the imagery into your head so that they become unforgettable, squeezably soft, as it were. So there's all this conditioning. And when you get right down to it, you know, people don't need probably 90% of what they spend their money on. Yes, you need food. Yes, it's nice to have a roof over your head. Yes, it's nice to have an office with every distraction in the world. It's nice to have a 46-inch LCD. What? Only 46? Wait, I want a 67-inch LCD. You know, and that's, you know, the real issue here comes down to what is progress? You know, is a computer that has the advanced Vista graphics where all of these funny little things now cast shadows on my desktop, is that really a major iteration in computational horsepower? No. I got a problem with computers. And I'm not a Luddite, right? I'm not one of these down on computer kind of guys. But I can't type or speak any faster today than I could at the height of my journalism days in 1983. So I can only type 100 words a minute no matter what. And even with Dragon Speaking 10, I can only talk 100 words a minute, maybe 125. But by the time I get a couple of commands like strike that, back up, you know, and the computer seems to understand me. I say that to my wife, strike that, back up. And she goes, what? I'm not your computer. You know, but what really is the limit of progress? You know, people don't have time to read books these days. They're living on freeways, listening to radio shows like this as a podcast because they're too damn busy to relax and enjoy life. Talking on cell phones. I'm sorry?
Talking on cell phones continuously.
Oh, and I went to lunch a couple of weeks ago in town, Palestine, Texas. Nice little bistro, good, just wonderful chicken fried steak, nice atmosphere, and I heard 3 or 4 people's personal lives that I couldn't really give a damn about, but I didn't have a choice. I can't shut them off. There's no mute button.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so, but people feel this weird urge to communicate, and in inappropriate ways because they have given up defining themselves by who they are inside and their skills and their breadth of action. In other words, their freedom. I enjoy myself because I'm self-amusing. I can be a farmer, I can be a ham radio guy, I can be a sailor, I can be a welder, I can be a wood shop guy, I can be a computer geek, I can be an economist, yada, yada, yada. So I've got all these skills, right? And if there's something that I always tell people when they get frustrated about, oh, I'm stuck in a bubble, I'm stuck in a rut, it's like, no, you can really live nicely on $10,000 a year, even in this crappy economy. I've got a little ebook, which people can buy, and it's like $10. And surprisingly, people get the ebook, and the normal reaction is, I never thought about it that way. But you don't need to live in a house that's 2,000 square feet. I lived on a sailboat with 150 square feet inside of it, and most of that was barely usable, because boats are rounded and so forth. And yet, it was great because it forced me not to buy a bunch of crap. Of course, I had a Porsche at that point, right? But my crap was.
I wouldn't call that crap. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was a great car. Oh. But at least it was up in the parking lot, and so you get to the point where when you work on it, you can get down to the basics of if you're not soaking wet, if you're not terribly cold, if you've got a book and sufficient lighting that you can read, life can be okay, and you can learn a whole bunch. But we're just not past that right now. We're stuck at the, what should we do? Let's watch Raiders of the Lost Ark for the 800th time. It's like, is that progress? Is that what our increased productivity has done?
No, and it's interesting because I think all of these disturbances that people bring into their lives is a cover-up for that what is inherent, I think, in humans to be more has gotten so submerged that it's barely audible anymore to people. But it's there. And so there's a vacancy. There's just a vacuousness in daily life. And so let's cover it up with all this outside entertainment and everything so that I don't feel this niggling in the core of ourselves that wants to be more and independent and sustainable and interesting and have good conversations, even whatever. I just think it's sort of like a use of drugs or drink or anything to cover up what's missing.
Yeah, and unfortunately there's a huge gap. There is some really good work being done in the human potential movement. There are some gifted people, Dr. Wayne Dyer and Tony Robbins and Nightingale Conant has lots of motivational tapes and so forth. And it all sounds really as motivating as the Dickens until it comes to actually turning off the television and picking up and saying, by golly, I am going to become the world's leading expert on X or Y, or I'm going to develop this new skill, and turning off the TV long enough to do it. Unfortunately, because, what Cliff is seeing in his work, we don't get to that point. Where we're likely to go instead, and, by summer of 2009, is some large-scale social disorder because people want their cake and eating it too, and they want it all for free, and we've lost some of the core American values. The core American values are work your ass off and share a little bit with government, but keep reinvesting in yourself and your property and your skills and make something of yourself. And the human potentials movement gets people whipped up and gets them excited about doing that. And then the minute you walk by a TV set, it sucks all the energy back out of you and hypnotizes you back into being just a consumer.
Yes.
And as the consumer paradigm falls apart, because it's not real, it's illusory in the sense that most all of it is borrowed. It's borrowed home equity, it's borrowed credit cards, it's borrowed friendships. When we have to reconnect at the core level, build our own skills, reassert America's work ethic that made the country great, it's going to be a massive period of adjustment, and not everybody's going to make it through that.
Yeah, and the consumer has also been consumed.
Oh, yeah. The consumer has run out of crap to buy.
Mm-hmm.
Run out of money to buy any more crap right at the moment.
Well, yeah, I mean, and
Yeah.
it's fortunate because, the two things are happening almost simultaneously.
Yeah, and it's amazing that that does happen at the same time, that people can profit off of consuming others' wealth without having, I would think a better economy would be everybody is sovereign and everybody is happy, but then it would be spread around
no power in
too
that.
evenly. Right, that's the problem. It's the power.
Well, yeah, and that's always the way it is. There's folks on the power trip and there are folks on the shaman trip. And the shaman trip want people to discover truth, encounter it, develop their own personal relationships with the universe. And then there's the others, those on the power trip, who don't want you to personally challenge, question. They want blind obedience. And unfortunately, the blind obedience people are the ones that are having a very hard time right now. Those of us that are, independent thinkers, it isn't nearly as bad as it is for those who are stuck in the mindset.
No, because we still have the ability to laugh at it like we were talking about on the breaks.
Yeah.
What else can we do? But one thing we can do is bring you back. Because you've got a lot to talk about, and this hour of your bio is gone.
Well, I'll come back, and we still have to have our definitive ham radio conversation.
That's right.
Absolutely.
We will.
Don't hang up.
Yeah.
I won't hang up.
Okay. Well, thank you, George.
I enjoyed it.
Very, very
So
much.
did we.
And bring some more jokes next time, too. We had a lot of fun.
What's the worst hit sector of the economy in Iceland? Quick.
I don't
Bank
know.
robbers. Come on.
Bank robbers?
Bank robbers.
All right. Thanks, George. And thanks,
Okay.
And thanks for listening.